The Sales Hunter podcast is back. I'm Mark Hunter. And hey, today we have Donald Kelly, the Sales Evangelist. Let me tell you something. This guy screams sales. I love the guy dearly. Great, great guy. Anyway, we're going to why don't we just get to him like real quick? So let's roll the intro and we'll be back with Donald.
You're listening to the Sales Hunter podcast with Mark Hunter, where the focus is to help you as a sales leader sell with confidence and integrity. And now here's your host.
When you're talking with Donald Kelly, the Sales Evangelist, you got to talk sales. And you got to talk, hey, is it skill set or mindset? What is it? Hey, Donald, welcome to the show. Great to have you on. Tell the audience a little bit about who you are, because the Sales Evangelist, I love that moniker. I love that. I hope you've trademarked it.
We did, actually.
Good. Because otherwise I was going to steal it. Okay. So just saying.
So the Sales Evangelist, to go back to that idea, I love evangelizing about what was working for me in sales. As a new sales rep, one of the things that I had struggles with was trying to figure out how to best succeed. And I found myself running around in circles with these companies that I was working with that didn't quite have training. So I figured, man, if there's a way that I can help others. And, fast forward to when I started to see success, I started to share what was working with me to other salespeople. And one of my buddies was like, you should do a podcast, and started a podcast and investigate what that was all about. And the Sales Evangelist just made sense, like evangelizing what is working and what's the message of effective selling. And that's what I live by. And I love it. I love evangelizing for things that matter to me. And so the podcast grew. And I had heroes like Mark Hunter that I figured one day I'd be like them. Eventually the training organization grew where people started asking me, could I coach them? And in 2015, I left my full-time software gig and started coaching and working with individual sellers, and then graduated up to teams and to where we are now. And it's a fun thing, and I love it. And love evangelizing.
Hey, I love it. And I'm going to ask you when we get down towards the end of the show, what's that one piece of advice you tell salespeople to go out and do right now? So, okay. Hey, that's really cool. But let's jump into this whole topic, because it sounds like you kind of struggled initially with sales, right?
Oh, yeah.
Hey, I did too. I got fired from my first 2 sales jobs. Okay. In fact, the only reason I wanted to go into sales was because I needed a car. I couldn't afford car insurance because of my driving record. So, yeah. And so, okay. Yep. So what did you find? Is it skill set or mindset? What got you to where you are today? The rock star of sales.
I think one of the things that helped me to get there, I think it was a combination of both, Mark. And I'll go back in, but I would say I'll go heavy on the mindset component though. Because you and I both know salespeople you probably saw this too. I found sellers that were more talented, they knew what to do when it comes towards selling. They knew how to have phone calls. They knew how to do the outreach. They knew all the practices and the things to do. However, they didn't do it. And one of them reminds me of, there's a gentleman that I worked with in one of the companies, and we both came in at the same time. He had way more experience than I did, and he got into outside sales and I got put into inside sales. 6 months later, I found myself taking over his role, where I got graduated from inside to outside sales, and he was relieved from duty. It wasn't that I was any better or greater than him, but he had 20 years on me. But the thing that he didn't have that I would say that I had was I was hungry and I was gritty. I had a mentality, the mindset that I needed to succeed. And it wasn't like something that was like, just like egotistical, but no, literally I was living off of Wendy's dollar menu lunch every single day. And I was like, if I don't do this, and I was borrowing money from my already broke mom, living paycheck to paycheck to try to survive after college. And I'm like, what in the world is going on? I'm the one that's supposed to be bringing money back to our family. So this mindset now that made me think, I had a why, and also the mindset that I knew that I could do this. If I did this in college, I did door-to-door security sales, Mark, and I made more money than my family did that whole year from just doing security one summer. And that helped me to go through college and take care of myself and so forth. But so I imagine now going into the B2B world that I was going to go thrive and succeed, but I didn't. But I knew that, again, the mindset that if I did it, then what do I need to do it now? And that mindset kept me going. And fortunately, I was able to get the skill set components, but I felt the mindset was separated me from many of the other sellers and separate top performers often.
I love that story. I love that story because, I got into sales and I didn't want to get into sales. I wanted to go into marketing. And
Yeah.
well, I did because I wanted to go into marketing because actually I wanted to be a disc jockey. You're listening to the Mindy 95 KQZ radio. But that's not what you tell your parents. That's where their tuition money's going. Okay. So, that just doesn't work.
Uh-uh.
And I only got into sales because I had such a bad driving record. I couldn't afford car insurance. And it's funny. I thought I had the right mindset. My mindset was, you, the customer, are bowling pins. It's my job to knock you over, take your money, and run as rapidly as possible. And yeah, that was not a good mindset. And
No, it doesn't work.
I got fired from my first 2 sales jobs.
Wow.
And it was the 3rd sales job where my boss sat me down and said, hold on, stop. Do you even know what your customers are looking for? And I was like, no, I'm just selling, baby. I'm just making it, And, I was an absolute train wreck.
Yeah.
And so, it was funny. I didn't have any skill set. Well, the skill set was just take the money and run. The mindset was as screwed up as can be.
Yeah.
So I applaud you that you're hungry. Who was it? Brian Tracy made the comment. He said, when he first got into sales, he was really good at selling. He sold his skis. He sold his car. He sold, because he was so bad at selling, he had to sell everything he owned. So yeah. So let's jump back. I want you to unpack this because this is so cool. Yeah. This mindset of being hungry. Okay. So today you're successful. How do you motivate yourself today?
The same thing. I feel like the Rock, and I've heard Rory Vaden, and I don't know who attributes it back to, but The Rock says, success is never owned, it's leased, and every single day the rent is due. And I find that often as a business owner where, the rent lease literally is due every month. But it's this idea that you need to come prepared, and you can't rest on your laurels. You can't rest on what you did yesterday. It's like, that was great. You may have closed something, but what are you going to keep doing to go forward? And I want personal excellence. It's one of the values that we have in our company, Mark, I share with our team members. And every meeting that we start off, we remind our team that our goal is to strive for excellence in all that we do. So excellence if that means that we're going to do the research to be able to create a new podcast episode that's going to help help one salesperson, let's do it excellently. If that means creating a video to the excellent capability, let's do that. If it means running a cohort or one of our mastermind sessions or training sessions, are we doing this as excellent as we can do? What did we learn last time we can do to do better? So this mentality is infused in everything that we do, but it also is infused in the same notion that I want to make sure that when I'm done on this rock, when I hit my, whatever that limit is that I have, maybe it's going to be, 85, maybe the way that technology is going, I'll live to be 150. If that's the case, did I do or fulfill my duty as an individual, all that Donald was capable of doing? And at this stage of my life, selling and also being a sales evangelist, evangelizing what's working is something that's important to me. So I want to continue to strive for excellence. So I'm nowhere near where I would like to be, but I'm striving every single day, and that keeps me going. And the other side too is that when you have crumb snatchers at home, I have a 3-year-old. I saw your post a little bit ago, Mark, how you moved in the house with your family, you raised your kids and so forth. You guys moved out of that. But I imagine every day when you came home, you're like, these crumb snatchers, they need college tuition, they need healthcare, they need food. So
you got, I think you and I are brothers of a separate mother. I really do, because here's the whole thing. I always say, there's no way you can sell to anybody else. This was my problem. To begin with, I was treating everybody as a bowling pin because I wasn't first selling to myself. There's a level of integrity that has to take place. You and I have a good friend, Larry Levine, selling from the heart. Very much integrity-based selling. And it starts with who you are as an individual. This is so critical because I now look at sales as this is fulfilling my mission in life. My mission in life is to influence and impact as many people as possible. And I could be a plumber, but I'm not going to really influence and impact that many people, depending on how many homes I'm in, on a given day. But in sales and doing what I get to do, I get to influence and impact people. So I think for me, and again, comes back to what you said your mission is. Sales allows us to fulfill that. To me, And I know to you, it's tremendous satisfaction. You get jazzed, right?
Yeah.
You know, it is so funny because, and I want you to unpack further the mindset, because again, your skill set is dramatically better than it was back when you first got into sales, right?
Yeah.
I mean, and it continues to evolve. How much would you say a top performer changes their skill set in any given year or any given 5 years?
You say how or how often?
How much do you know? I mean, do top performers really change their skill set year to year?
I don't think it changes drastically. Let me explain why. When I love Usain Bolt, because obviously being a Jamaican naman, I love track and field. So Usain Bolt, there came a point when Usain started running, he had the natural skills that made him perform well. However, he wasn't hitting world record numbers yet. But as he mastered his skill, it came to a point where no matter how much he tried, he probably wasn't going to get any, like, it wasn't going to change like a second. Maybe he'll change a fraction of a second or, a millisecond off of his time. But he got to the top or peak of his capabilities and of his performance. I feel like for many of us who are brand new to sales, for people who are brand new to sales, there's so much that you can learn, but there are also ways that you can fine tune milliseconds off of your time, but you're not going to see a huge drastic shift. If you're a top performer at that level, you're probably just going to, it's like a 1% better every single day, right? So I would look at this for a seller that's doing top performing. Maybe they're hitting that 7-figure, income level, or top 6 figures. They're doing multi 6 figures. They're doing great. But one of the things though that I find that they probably would be doing is to say, all right, well, I know something has changed when it comes towards LinkedIn. What can I tweak with that to get my 1% better to get that email answered or get that LinkedIn request improved? Or what can I do to make sure that when I do have that phone call, is there something that I could change? Is there some technology that I can infuse? But as far as them being able to, like, the growth from where they were, from not knowing how to sell to where they are, you're not going to see a huge, big difference in that. It's 1% better at this level, I feel. And just like with Usain Bolt, I mean, you watch his career, by the time he got to before he retired, he was like you capped out. So am I capped out? No way. I'm not to Mark Hunter level. I feel there's so much more that I can still learn. But I'm like, maybe I can get like 5% better now. I'm not to that 1% level yet, but I'm trying to get better every single day, every single year. But I feel that top performers, they're if you're 1%ers, not necessarily like 10, 15, 20% improvement every single year.
Man, you are singing the song, because I love it. It's this continuous, I always say it's 1% CIP, continuous improvement process.
Yeah.
And if you think about it, if you just improve yourself 1% each week, which really isn't that hard. Think about it. Over the course of a year, you're going to improve yourself by over 50%, let alone the power of compounding and everything else. I mean, it's significant. But it's interesting because I think you also have to have your mind and your eyes open to be able to hear and be receptive. This is why I think podcasts are so critical. I mean, we got some superstars listening in right now. Carson is listening in.
I know,
and great guy, and he's the top of his game. We've got other people who are chiming in, top of their respective games, and it's huge. But you're continuously, because I think that top performers go into every day saying, there's something to learn here. There's something I'm going to learn. And it's in fact, it's a question I tell people. You want to ask yourself 2 questions at the end of every day. What did you learn today? And how are you going to use it tomorrow to make yourself even better?
Yes.
And that's the mindset that I think helps the skill set.
Yeah.
Wow. We are not going to wrap this conversation up in 24 minutes. We're going to go about 3 hours here. Buckle up, folks. Get ready.
I'm good. Let's go.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah. So now talk to people who are listening and they're saying, okay, I'm struggling with my skill set. I'm maybe I'm not a top performer. I'm average at best. How do I up my game?
Yeah, I think the biggest piece to that is I do an assessment with sellers, and I like to do it with myself. Is it evaluates like the whole sales cycle for a seller, like maybe like prospect, and you have to be brutally honest with yourself. it's a scale of like 1 to 5. So it's pretty subjective. So it's like, how am I doing on my outreach? Do I rank myself as being excellent as 5, or am I being, I'm awful like 1? And, there's a range in there, but you can rank yourself. And what I would do what I would tell that seller is just really do an evaluation of that, like just to see what is, your process, your outbound game, your discovery calls, your demos, and your closing, or your, relationship building post the sales process, referral generation. And, you might find that you're good in certain areas, but I like to look at where can I improve the most? And then what I like to do with that is set a goal for myself during that time period. So maybe I say over the next 3 months, my social selling game is I rank it as a 2. I really feel I can do better at that. So then I identify people who can help me out with that. It's no shame in asking for help. And I want to repeat that for the people in the back. No shame in asking for help. So I'd go out and ask people who are doing well. So I hit up folks like Carson, or hit up folks like Daniel Disney, and say, I see you guys are doing some amazing stuff here. If there's one tip you would give me, what would that thing be? I would look at their content that they're sharing that ties around social selling. I would then try to improve that, in my one area, just focus on that one thing. Go back to track and field. Coach Rapke was my track coach here in South Florida. And one of the things he said, it was a little New Yorker. And he always said, Donald, find your niche. Find your niche. And one of the things he would say, get that niche. And my niche was that 300-meter hurdles. I could do that. And I focused on a 300-meter hurdle. I did well. And then when I did that, great. I went on to the 4x1 relay and so forth. Then the 100-meter hurdles. So I had my niches, and I focused on that during that time period. And that's what I would say as a seller. Just take a 3 months or a quarter and say, this quarter, I'm going to master this area. And look at a big shout out to Kobe. I know the late Kobe Bryant just, his birthday was just a little bit ago, if he was still alive. But one of the things that Kobe did was just that. When he started off playing basketball, he was like the worst in the summer league that he was playing in. And then he grew into himself, and all these other kids had natural skill set, but Kobe had that killer instinct, that Mamba mentality. And then Kobe said, you know what, I'm going to do one thing. So this whole summer, he focused on like shooting. Then the next summer, he focused on his dribbling skills. Or in the next summer, he focused on this other thing. So then over 4 summers now, because he focused on this every single year, what happened naturally as a byproduct was that Kobe was then he perfected his game, while everyone who had natural skills, they just coasted on what they were doing. So if you're a seller and you find yourself like, I'm not doing what I'm not hitting numbers that I want to hit, don't worry about the end goal yet. Just focus on one area, the weakest area that you can improve on. And that's what I see that's fun. I want to give a quick story. A big shout out to a buddy on one of the guys in my sales mastermind. His name is Jay. Jay jumped into the sales mastermind about a year ago, and we run them every 3 months. And Jay came in, and he had started a new role as an outbound sales rep. Wasn't doing too great in that role. Wasn't hitting the numbers that he wanted. Then the second mastermind, he started to improve a little bit more. Third mastermind, he was starting to become one of the top performers in his company. And one of the things that he worked on was just his emails. Like, how can I write better emails, better sales outreach email? And then one of the semesters, he wanted to focus on how can I do better at LinkedIn, and then focus on his conversation. Now, yeah, he's a top performer in his company. Did it happen overnight? No way. It took him three altogether, like 9 months. But dude is killing it now. And that's the idea. That's the Mamba mentality. That's the top performer mentality. Isolate one area, perfect that area, get help, and just continue your craft. And it makes such a world of difference.
Man, I tell you what, you're so spot on, because I see so many salespeople, they struggle and they try to fix everything at one time. Don't. Yeah. Focus on one lane. Your Kobe Bryant. You look at every great athlete. That's what they do. They break down their performance. I have the privilege of coaching an absolutely top 1% sales performer in Germany. Mm-hmm. And it's funny. He's top of the game. He's top of the game in every company he works at. And offers come in to him. He jumps. And he takes me with him as his personal coach. And, this is what's funny, because he's at the top of the game. He says, no, but if I don't have you, Mark, I don't stay at the top of the game. You see, this is the whole thing. Regardless of where you're at in the spectrum, you have to be continuously asking yourself, who can I learn from? And like you said, don't hesitate to raise the hand and ask. I am part of a very tight mastermind group. There's 4 of us. And we connect that this morning. We've already traded probably a dozen text messages. And we have a network of probably 50 people that we're always tapping into. But it's continuous growth. You can't stop, because the moment you stop, Ray Kroc, founder of McDonald's, used to make the comment. He says the only good apple is a green apple, because it still has the ability to get better. Ooh. Now, I don't know if that quote can be attributed to him. I have no clue. But think about that for a moment.
Yeah.
You don't want to be the red apple, because that's as good as you're going to get.
Yeah.
I'm sure you ask yourself 5 years from now, how much better am I going to be as a salesperson? You're going to be a lot years better. I ask myself that all the time. And I think that's the fuel that ups the mindset and the skill set.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can I address one thing that Brad posted in the comments?
Yeah.
He wants a challenge. And I love that. He said the challenge is that focus on the talent, not your weakness. Improve on that talent. And I would say, yes, I agree 100%. But if my goal as a salesperson is to sell, I need to improve on all of those areas of selling. So especially if you're a full cycle sales professional, if you have to prospect, if you have to, do social outreach, and you're trying to also close the deal, you need to do all of those. But I'm not going to say, go back to this area of your overall improvement as a human being. So I may not be great at playing the piano, but I'm great at selling. I'm going to focus macroly on my selling capability. I'm not going to waste my time trying to become great at playing the piano or the flute. That's just not my strong suit. So in that strong suit, in that area that I have, my job is to become great at selling. How can I make that better? And all of those components are needed, because I don't care if you could close better than anybody else in the world. If you can't get people at the top of the funnel, it sucks for you. But if my weak area is writing, and I'm a sales professional, I'm not going to spend time becoming great writer. I'm going to focus on the talents that I'm needed in. I have an executive assistant, and I'm going to tell you, I just finished a book, and I'm not the greatest writer in the world, but I tell you, I have an editor and she does everything, goes over everything that I have. My publisher gave me some more editing, and they went through that over again, make sure it was great. But I'm focusing on an area, but as selling, and also given the content, that was my wheelhouse, and I perfect that. So that's what I mean. I'm not saying go do stuff that is not your total weakness, but things that are in your area that you're supposed to do. As a sales professional, prospecting and closing are your responsibility, a full cycle seller. If you're just a BDR and you don't ever need to close, then focus on getting people to the top of the funnel, perfect that part of the game. So that's what I meant. So hopefully that makes sense.
I love it. Hey, we're going to run out of time here, but I got to throw one more basketball name. MJ, Michael Jordan. I still think he's the best basketball player that ever played.
He is.
Okay, thank you. You and I told you, we're brothers of a separate mother. Okay.
I love Kobe. Kobe got everything from MJ. And LeBron came down here to South Florida, helped us out, and I still respect LeBron, Steph Curry. But Jordan, I just don't, no matter what stats or whatever you put, the thing that made Jordan killer more than anybody else was that mentality.
It was his mindset. And what I find fascinating, Michael Jordan can't swim. He can't swim. Now, is he going to get in the pool with, and try to swim? No. But he stays in his lane, basketball. But every element of that basketball skill, he focuses on.
Yeah.
That's what it takes to become greatness. Hey, we're running out of time here. And I know, man, we could go for hours here on this one. And I'll tell you what, the chat board continues to light up. It's absolutely fantastic, the conversation we're getting. Now, here's a question. I'm going to ask you, but I'm going to ask you to share something else first. I'm going to ask you to share one piece of advice that you think every salesperson should do right now to help them be more successful. But before we get to that, tell people how they can get in touch with you.
The best way to get in touch with me is two things. I would tell you I'm on all platform as Donald C. Kelly. So you're on LinkedIn right now. If you're in the comments, y'all need to hit me up on connections and hit me up, Donald C. Kelly. And then you can go to my website, the Sales Evangelist, and we love to evangelize there. So we have a free resource tab that you can find information on some of the free trainings that we have. We have a free training course, and it's great for folks who are, maybe some of your sellers are trying to improve and get the basics. Put them in that free sales training course, 5 videos that they get a chance to go through, and we have a full training program from that as well. But check that out, thesalesevangelist.com. So those are 2 ways that I would say go ahead and connect with me.
Great. Okay, now here's the question we want to end with. What's that one piece of advice you tell every salesperson they need to do right now to help them become more successful?
Right now, in this economy, in this modern era, and in your current sales role, the most important thing that I want to tell sellers is to become great at problem finding. Great at problem finding, become great at problem finding. And here's the reason why. If you can identify problems that your buyers don't even know are problems, that's going to make, those are what you call insights. And that's what moved the needle. If I'm going to sellers or reaching out to the same prospect, and one of them is going to talk about, I'm going to help you save money or increase revenue, that person, the buyers heard that over and over again. But if I can share with you insights that you're not necessarily thinking about, insights about your industry, or insight about the fact that you're hiring, and maybe some stuff that you don't know, because I work with companies hiring all the time. If I could share that insight, I'm going to have a leg up and I'm going to be so much better. And in the tight economy, I'm not saying we're in a recession, but when tight economy with inflation, people are not going to do things because you can say you can save the money or increase their revenue. You need to demonstrate that. And when you share insights, that shows that you can. When it comes towards this modern era where your buyers are being bombarded from every avenue from different sales professionals, what's going to separate a seller is one who can bring insights to the table, things that the buyers aren't thinking about that's going to help them to be separated. And that's what it is, man. That's the key that I share. And I'm going to die on that hill right now.
I love it. And you use the word tight economy. You didn't use that word that starts with the letter R. I can't use that. I'm an optimist. I'm an eternal optimist.
Yes.
Hey, we want to thank Donald Kelly, the sales evangelist, for being on the show.
Thank you, Mark.
You have been listening to the Sales Hunter podcast. What do? It is all about bringing guests like Donald Kelly to the stage to share with you insights that you can learn from. Hey, check out the Sales Hunter University, would you? We pack it all up right there. Let's get back to the show. Donald, thank you so much for being on. Great guest. Looking forward to seeing you at Outbound. And if you're catching this real quickly, it's happening late September, Atlanta. Be there. Outboundconference.com for tickets. Donald, thank you so much.
Thanks, Mark. Appreciate you.